PG. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. It is Thursday. Yes, it is. I almost called why did I want to call it September? July the 27th of 2023, day 208th of the year, and only 157th days left to go. We're on the downward spiral, that's for sure. Anyways, how are you? It's been probably at least about 24 hours, 23 hours, depending on how the hell you want to take a look at it, since we last hung out. That's if you were with us yesterday. If you weren't with us yesterday, then it might have been a longer period of time, unless you were on the podcast or the stream and all that other fun stuff that we get to talk about. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place. Radio Big. Oh, yes, hanging out with Radio Big. Keep in mind, this is hour number 1 of a 3-hour show that mostly happens on Radio Big, but we are simulcasting on Safety FM. I always kind of look at it on how does that work. Am I simulcasting on Safety FM or am I simulcasting on the other one? Who knows? Anyway, so let's talk about the things that are going on. A lot of stuff happening in the overnight. We'll talk about all those things there for us to do so. If you're not familiar with the show, let's kind of get through some of the aspects that you might want to know. Is that we are a show that talks about safety in the news and safety. Yes, it becomes one of those things. We kind of go down the downward spiral of everything that is happening in that particular regards. So if you want to interact, callinradio.com is the easiest format on doing so, because we can talk about everything that's going on. Simple on doing that. And then outside of that, well, we will be on all major social media platforms, but we normally don't look at that stuff until post-show. So that's why I always say call-in radio is the easiest way to interact. The professional broadcasters come in and they talk about all the stuff that they have going on, so don't worry about that. That's always a fun time as they come in and do their thingo. But before we get into everything that we're going to talk about today, why don't we start talking about what the hell was trending in the overnight? Seriously.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I take a look around and everything, Sam Bankman-Fried could be back behind bars sooner than later. And a candy collab comes just in time as the National Mustard Day. We'll talk about that. And Jason Alden's song, Try That in a Small Town, gets altered. And Judge Greg Mathis is in somewhat of a hot water, but we'll talk about that possibly in hour number 2. A Spidey villain, Tobey Maguire, may reprise his role as a superhero in a new flick. And Jeopardy might be in jeopardy. And we'll talk about how that's going to make some sense. And then we'll talk about everything that's going on inside of the world of the news. I got a weird message last night from one of the hosts. We'll talk about possibly that, depending on how far down the rabbit hole we go down today. So don't worry about that. By the way, a lot of interaction yesterday about the, what was it? The sex toy injury. It was kind of amazing on how people were not too happy that I didn't discuss the rest of the list that I had. Now, the list consisted of 10 items. I only gave you the bulb one, and I didn't go into graphic detail on what the person had done at the organization. Well, not at the organization, but that worked for the organization and the thing that occurred. I did not realize that I piqued so many people's interest when it came to talking about that stuff. But I guess that's just kind of the weirdness that is our group. Just keep in mind about that. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring in the pro newscasters that are waiting. Mark Mayfield's in the wing, so let's go ahead and do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. The Federal Reserve is no longer forecasting a U.S. recession this year.
The staff now has a noticeable slowdown in growth starting later this year in the forecast, but given the resilience of the economy recently, they are no longer forecasting a recession.
That's what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell told reporters yesterday after the central bank raised interest rates by 0.25 percentage point on Wednesday. He said inflation has moderated, but there's still a long way to go to get it down to the 2% goal. Officials pushed rates to their highest level since 2001, leaving the door open for future rate increases. It's the 11th rate hike since March of 2022, and it follows a pause in June. Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty to federal tax charges after a judge rejected a proposed plea deal. Prosecutors and defense lawyers tried to put together a revised plea deal after a disagreement over the original. The original plea deal appeared to fall apart after the judge asked prosecutors if it provided immunity for any future charges related to Hunter Biden's business dealings. After the prosecutor said it did not, defense attorneys then said there was no deal. Lawyers had reportedly agreed to a revised deal, but the judge said she was not ready to accept it. New home sales are slowing. Trey Thomas reports.
Government figures show sales of new single-family homes fell to an annual rate of 697,000 units in June. It's a 2.5% decline from May's revised rate of 715,000 units. The median price of a new home sold in June was just over $415,000. I'm Trey Thomas.
And the U.S. women's soccer team finished with a 1-1 draw against the Netherlands in its second World Cup group stage match. Lindsey Horan netted the tying goal in the 62nd minute Thursday in New Zealand. Team USA returns to action Tuesday against Portugal. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Feature story news in the UK, I'm John Beaver. A new report has warned that record high temperatures in the UK last year could become the average over the next 40 years. Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Sen has said he will step down and hand over leadership of the Southeast Asian nation to his son. And political opposition leaders in India have stepped up their protests over the government's handling of the ongoing ethnic violence in the northeastern state of Manipur.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
A former U.S. intelligence official says the U.S. government is in possession of UFOs.
I was informed of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it.
While testifying before a House subcommittee yesterday, David Grush said he knows that's the case based on dozens of classified interviews within the intelligence community. Grush added that he's faced brutal retaliation for coming forward. Two former Navy pilots also shared their first-hand encounters with UFOs, claiming the technology they witnessed was far beyond the capabilities of the U.S. military. Opponents of the Texas floating border wall fear that it's having a negative effect on the environment as it bobs up and down in the Rio Grande. Lisa Taylor has more.
It's something those guarding the border deny. The Texas Department of Public Safety says the barrier is not obstructing the flow of the river. The department said it's illegal immigrants who are trashing the border area as they move through. A lawsuit filed by the Justice Department this week suggests the floating wall is a violation of the Rivers and Harbors Act, which bans barriers and obstructions. I'm Lisa Taylor.
An Ohio K-9 officer is out of a job after his police dog attacked an unarmed black truck driver who had his hands up after a highway chase. Officials said on Wednesday that former Circleville officer Ryan Speakman's termination is effective immediately. The local Black Lives Matter chapter is planning to protest outside Circleville's police department on Saturday. A penicillin shortage has got health officials worried about a possible syphilis public health emergency. With supplies of the drug tight, doctors have been rationing treatment for the disease, prioritizing pregnant patients and babies. The Department of Health and Human Services is putting together a task force to examine the issue. Declaring a public health emergency could free up resources to help fight the problem. And singer Sinead O'Connor is dead at the age of 56. O'Connor's family confirmed her passing in a statement to Irish media, saying they are devastated. O'Connor is known for hits including I Want Your Hands on Me and her version of Prince's Nothing Compares to You. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. Currently 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Thursday. Okay, so there you go. Prosecutors in Sam Bankman-Fried trial related to AFTX mishandling customer funds are arguing that the former billionaire should sit in jail awaiting trial. Oh, yes. That's what they've been leaking evidence to the media to harass the witness for the prosecution in particular. His former girlfriend and head of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, phone call logs monitored by the court officials show that SBF has made more than 1,000 phone calls to journalists since starting house arrest. More than 100 of those to the New York Times, and more than half were author Michael Lewis, who has been following SBF for a book. Worth noting, Lewis wrote the books behind the movies like Moneyball, The Blind Side, and The Big Short. The judge ordered the defense to present a counter-argument and the prosecution to follow up next week. So there you go. What do you think? I mean, I don't know. This is spiraling out of control in regard to what is going on. I mean, I take a look at it and go, this is going to get more interesting before it kind of disappears. Now, listen, I know that if you are on the side of the equation that you lost money, this is not some shit you want to sit around and talk about. I get it. But it is definitely one of those things that it is worth talking about as we are taking a listen around of what is going on. Anyways, a cargo ship transporting an estimated 3,000 automobiles caught fire off the coast of the Netherlands late on Tuesday, killing at least one crew member and causing a few others to jump overboard. Rescue ships had to spray enough water to quell the blaze without overloading the cargo vessel and sinking it. Officials tell Reuters that the fire may continue for a couple of days. No cause has been reported as of yet. I mean, think about that. Yeah, we're transporting some vehicles here, about 3,000. And we're about to jump. Yep, we're about to jump because it's getting bad. Something to think about for sure. Well, at least 11 people were injured after a construction crane caught fire and collapsed in New York on Wednesday morning. The crane fell and the arm struck the building across the street, shattering the windows. More than 200 emergency responders, including firefighters, were dispatched to the scene. This is according to the New York Times. Think about that. You're just kind of sitting around, you're doing your work, and all of a sudden, boom! The shatter-atter of everything going on. It's going to make you kind of probably question some things. No doubt about that, as you are hanging out inside of your office building.
Duh.
So, there you go. Anyways, in the mid-1990s, Apple commissioned shoes with their company branding embroidered on them as a giveaway for sales conferences. They've never been for retail sale, but you could own your own pair. A size 10.5 pair went on sale on Salisbury. This time, it's not an auction, so if you have about $50,000 to spare, you can buy them. No, seriously, you can buy them. Have no problem with it whatsoever in regards of doing so. I mean, just take advantage of that if you want to. Let me see. If you are on the visual side, we can do this for you to be able to take a look, sir, if you want. This is what the shoe looks like. Yeah, that's the shoe. I mean, aren't you really excited about owning an Apple shoe? No, seriously. Isn't that some level of excitement there? That's the Apple shoe, if you want to own it. I mean, hey, everybody wants to own a little bit of something. So everybody wants some. I want some too. I think that's how the song goes. So there you go. So $50,000, a similar set of shoes sold in 2016 for about $20,000. So there you go. Inflation is real. Anyway, Skittles and French's are teaming up for a condiment-flavored candy concoction in honor of National Mustard Day on August the 5th. The two brands are releasing a mustard-flavored Skittle. This is a limited edition candy. It's said to have a tangy mustard flavor alongside the iconic chewiness. So, I don't know. Is that something that you would want to give a little world of a taste to? Because it sounds like it might be a little different. If you know what I'm saying. I'm not very sure that that's the kind of Skittle stuff that I want to try. That is for sure. So let's talk about this because it was actually making the sequence of events. I know Mark Mayfield talked about it, but let's talk about this a little bit more in detail. Sinead O'Connor has died. The singer who notoriously tore up a photo of the Pope during a live performance on Saturday Night Live back in 1992. Reps for the family did not confirm the cause of death. She was 56 at the time of her passing. Terrible news. I mean, it really is. And if you have not heard Sinead O'Connor, I would probably recommend strongly that you take a moment at some point today and take a listen to Nothing Compares to You, her version, not the Prince's version. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with Prince's version, but taking a listen to that. It's a great song. And let's see. Chris from Soundgarden had done a version of it too, and it was great as well. So, I mean, just kind of a large impact in regards of what she was putting out. She did suffer from mental health. I mean, her son had committed suicide about 18 months ago, and as you would imagine, it had a large impact in her life and the things that are going on. I mean, I can't even fathom some of these things sometimes as we have these discussions. So there you go. Rest in peace. That is for sure. And as we continue to talk a little bit about things that are going on, let's bring in some John Smalls at the moment and let him go ahead and discuss what the hell is going on inside of the market.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, July 27th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets wobbled Wednesday following the Fed's 25 basis point interest rate hike. That hike put the base rate at 550 basis points and the highest level in over 2 decades. The statement indicated a possible pause at the next meeting, but left the door open for another historic interest rate hike later in the year. The data-dependent Fed will watch the inflation data for its next Q, and the next release is just around the corner. The PCE price index is due out, and it may alter the Fed's trajectory. The index is expected to moderate from the previous month, and the question is, by how much and if the decline will be sustained. As it is, the price of oil is on the rise, and oil underpins the cost of everything. With it on the rise, it is likely that inflation will remain hot, if not accelerate, and lead the FOMC to raise rates higher and higher. Regardless, there is little expectation for a rate cut until 2024. If then. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information. I know that I'm going to say this, and, nothing against John because it's not John's fault, but, man, that is definitely not the news that you want to hear. Not a rate cut till possibly 2024. We are in July. I mean, let's just make sure that we continue to think about that. And if the price of gas is going up, as you did here, it does undercut everything else. So you know that everything else will slightly go up. Not the information you want to hear, but definitely the stuff that we need to talk about. Anyway, this is the Dow added about 82 points to close at $35,520. Listen to me. 35,520 on Wednesday. The S&P lost about 1 point to close at 4,566. The Nasdaq lost about 17 points to close at 14,127. West Texas Intermediate closed at $78 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $82 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was all the way up to $3.68 on Wednesday. Bitcoin ticked up nearly 1% on Wednesday, trading just at $29,500. There was more than 4,275 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Wednesday, and about 245 such cancellations. Friday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $910 million jackpot, or $464.2 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, it is time to do so. Now, listen, I'm going to talk about this story. This is a story that I would normally leave for hour 2 or 3, but let's talk about it now because we're close enough to talking about show business. But take a listen. The music video for Jason Aldean's song, Try This in a Small Town, has been altered. The Washington Post reports that the video is now 6 seconds shorter than the original release because it no longer includes some of the news clips featuring footage from the 2020 riots. Initial speculation that the clips were removed arrived widespread backlash, but later came out that the production company behind the video used the now removed footage without Fox's permission. This is according to the Washington Post. So, did you really think that it was important to delete it? Because do people really think that deleting the real world footage erases the fact that it did happen? Now, this song has been a controversial song. I had not heard the song until yesterday. Finally, I heard the song and I watched the video, and I'm kind of confused because it goes into some very interesting stuff in talking about you wouldn't try certain shit inside of a small town compared to living in a large town. But hey, everybody has their own forte on what they're looking for. I'll just put it to you this way. Not everything that's put out is I am not the target audience. That's the great part about it. And I think sometimes people struggle with that in regards of, they came out with this movie and I'm not, who's wanting to see that? Well, you're probably not the target if you're looking around and going, I think that thing looks like it sucks. Well, more than likely you are not the target for that. Just stuff to think about. I think it becomes extremely difficult sometimes for people to start thinking about that. Anyways, let's talk about this. Yesterday, Newberry Police Department put out an announcement about a scam going around the community. Take a listen to this.
Individuals are receiving checks in the mail for $299 or $199, according to officials. Watch Fox 57 News reports the mailer is also asking for people's personal information for verification. Authorities are warning you not to give out your personal information before verifying that it is a legitimate source. You are being urged to contact the Newberry County Police Department to report any suspected scams. I'm Tyreek Wynn.
Yeah, here you go. $199 or $299. Give me your personal information, and we'll get it rolling for you. Anyways, an upscale restaurant and wine bar and upscale dessert shop might be coming to downtown Myrtle Beach. If you're one of those people that like to hang out in Myrtle Beach, you're going to want to know about this.
City Council gave preliminary approval for the tasting room and the Dalai Lama to open in Myrtle Beach's Arts and Innovative District. In addition to a full wine list, the tasting room offers tastes of its full entrees, such as filet mignon, lamb rack, and herb duck. The Dalai Lama, whose spelling is like Hello Dolly, and Llama the animal, offers ice cream, milkshakes, and waffle desserts. City Council did not say when they would meet to vote on the final approval. I'm Tyreek Wynn.
Okay, thank you, Tyree, for that. I have a question for you. Do you live in a city where you're constantly telling yourself, man, these people are some of the worst drivers on the planet? What the hell's going on? Blah, 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 you know, that typical stuff of, wow, the driving is terrible here? Well, take a listen to this. 2 Virginia cities appear on the list for the worst drivers in America. No, seriously.
Online insurance researcher Quote Wizard evaluated driver quality from the 70 largest cities. Topping the chart is Virginia Beach. The coastal town comes in at number 1 due to drivers' high rates of citations. It also ranks 5th in the category for moving violations. The city of Richmond came in at 17th, also because of a high rate of citations and DUI violations. In addition to tickets, the entire Commonwealth ranks among one of the top 10 states for DUIs. I'm Tyreek Wynn.
Okay, thank you, Tyree, for that one. Can you imagine that? Yeah, they have some shitty drivers around here, but also, you know, we rank pretty high in DUI.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it real quick. As the National Drowning Prevention Alliance says that 4,000 people die by drowning every year. Bree Tennis would love to explain.
That's an average of 10 drownings per day, and 2 of those will be children. The American Red Cross says if you're an adult, it takes about 60 seconds to drown, 20 seconds for a child, and it's not like the movies. There's no splashing, no screaming. Drowning is quiet. North County Supervisor Jim Desmond has put together $70,000 in grants for the Autism Society and the Oceanside YMCA. Both agencies now offering free swimming lessons, and that's your best defense against drowning. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Bree, for that one for sure. Take a listen to this real quick. Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia is wading into the topic of many are familiar with, junk fees. He shared the Senate Banking Subcommittee hearing about the topic on Wednesday. Trey Thomas has more.
Warnock said while many fees help fund critical services and products, many are excessively high.
And some fees exist solely so that large corporations can pad their bottom lines on the backs of hardworking families.
Wednesday's hearing examined the exploitive fee practices of financial services affecting bank deposit accounts, student loans, small dollar lending, and rental housing fees. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for that information right there. Take a listen to this coming out of Chicago. Governor Pritzker is pushing the effort to combat homelessness in Illinois. Pritzker says that homelessness isn't just an economic justice issue, but a racial justice issue as well.
In Illinois, black people are 8 times more likely to experience homelessness than white people, accounting for more than 60% of our homeless population.
Pritzker signed a bill yesterday codifying the Illinois Interagency Task Force on Homelessness and the Community Advisory Council on Homelessness. The measure aims for Illinois to functional zero homelessness by bolstering the safety net, targeting the high-risk population, expanding affordable housing, securing financial stability in unhoused individuals, and closing the mortality gap. So There you go. Be interesting to see what exactly happens moving forward from there. Take a listen to this. Inkster police are investigating a discovery of a body of a man in Field. He was found yesterday morning in the Bayhand and Princeton Street near Michigan, here near in the Michigan area where this woman lives.
When I just walked out the house, I can't believe it's a body down here. That's crazy because kids play all down there. That's really unfortunate.
Witnesses tell police that he had been shot and killed. Michigan State Police are helping with the investigation. Let's stay in Michigan for a moment. The Oakland Township woman who pled no contest to a charge for not stopping at a crash causing the death will spend 5 years in prison. Thompson Hostin hit and killed 22-year-old Michigan State University student Benjamin Cable early in the morning of January the 1st when he was walking home from a party.
At every turn, she did what was right for her to avoid consequences or prosecution.
That was Benjamin's father's Michael speaking after she was sentenced. Townsend fled from the country on January the 3rd with a one-way ticket to Thailand before being extradited back to the U.S. in February. Let's see. Michael Cable says that Thompson Hostin was cold and calculating when she fled the country after hitting and killing her son Benjamin, or his son Benjamin.
She knew what she was doing. It's sad that there are people who could do that kind of thing. And it went on over a long period of time. And, now justice has finally arrived.
So there you go. Very interesting stuff going on right there. Let's do one more real quick. The nonprofit Kalamazoo Gospel Ministry is offering free laundry and showers to the homeless and people in Kalamazoo. Their mobile shower trailer is the community hits the communities twice a week every Tuesday at Harpler Insurance Agency in Comstock Township and on Wednesday at the River Church in Kalamazoo between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Some people just don't want to come into the mission or other agencies. They just won't come, and so we go to them.
That's Kalamazoo Gospel Minister, President, and CEO Michael Brown, who was there to work. Also includes providing socks, T-shirts, underwear, feminine hygiene products, and basic toiletries. Kalamazoo Gospel Ministry President also says that they're offering free laundry and showers to the homeless twice a week with their mobile shower trailer.
There's a very small number of people who, because of their behaviors, may have been barred from some of the agencies and we want to make sure that they have the ability to get showers in.
So that's some good stuff being provided overall. There is no doubt about that. Anyways, let's go ahead and do that thing we do right around this time.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So as we continue to go around the universe, the multiverse, the multiplex, hold on, no, that's a movie theater. As we start to go around and about and all that kind of fun stuff, we need to talk about the things that are going on. And here's the gig. You know what's happening inside of your organization? Do you? Because I sure as shit don't, so that's why I asked that question. And here's the thing. When we start taking a look around on what's going on, where is the best place to start looking? No, seriously, where is the best place to start looking? Because that question comes up quite often. If I sit around and have no questions, how do I move forward? And if I sit around and have questions, who's going to be the person to tell me? And here's the thing. There is an incident that is waiting to occur inside of your organization. What do I mean when I say that? Well, you know that all systems have some level of problems regardless of what you're taking a look at. It be it here, it be it there, it be it everywhere. But at some point in life, there will be an issue within your system. It's kind of the way that it goes. So as you look for it or look around into it, how do you kind of determine on what needs to be done, on where that issue is going to occur? Maybe that is where you start having people in your organization start having those conversations. And when I say those conversations, I mean the conversations of what's happening when nothing's happening and where do you see something occurring next. Listen, if you get a group of your colleagues, co-workers, team members together, they can tell you about issues that are ongoing within the organization. They can tell you about, hey, I think that there's going to be a problem here. I think that there's going to be a potential issue in this area. And there's no problem with that. There is no problem with having that discussion. But it has to be given the opportunity for the people to have that discussion. Listen, the most common question that I get when I get to interact with a lot of organizations is, can we do what they deem a learning team and record it? Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. A good plan on doing a learning team is not to have anyone from management inside of there. So if I tell you that we're not going to have anyone from management inside of the group, but let's go ahead and record it, what do you think's going to happen? Well, most people are not going to want to talk. Because now they're going, oh shit, this thing's being recorded. So you might as well just tell them that management's inside of there, because that is the area of concern. And it's not like they're going to spill some kind of beans of something that you don't know. They want to talk and have, the ability to be able to say the things that they want to say. And it's not like when you're doing a learning team, you're writing these things down and you say, okay, Bob from accounting said this, so let me write that down. That's not how that goes. So you have to give people the ability to be able to tell you what's going on when you think nothing is going on. I'm going to tell you, day in and day out, people in your organization want to talk about how things can improve. What we tend to forget most of the times is that the majority of the time, we spend our time at work, or at least the times that we're awake, of course. So that discussion needs to be had. Now, let's be realistic. Most people work 40 hours a week. Some people go even higher than that, anywhere between 50, 60, some even go 70, and some are crazy and even go higher. But that's the stuff to think about. So take a moment and think about that today. If you had the opportunity, would you let your team members, colleagues, and coworkers let you know exactly what's going on? And are you going to be okay with what they have to say? That's always the question behind the question.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage. I'm talking the truth.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
What do guys like besides pizza and morning sex?
Jay Allen in the morning.
It's so bizarre and unnatural.
It's all good. On Radio Big.
Yes, this is still the Rated R Safety Show coming across on Radio Big and Safety FM. This right here is the Wolf Club. This is Summer Lights. You can give it a little streaming action if you want to do so. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music. You know, give it a little gander-ander. You know, some people really like that stuff. I have to tell you, you know, Summer Lights sounds pretty good to me for sure. No doubt whatsoever. You know, I like me all kinds of interesting music. So there you go. Thanks to Wolf Club for allowing us to play Summer Lights right here on the Rated R Safety Show. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the things that are happening inside the multiverse for sure. And let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. We want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. Healing is possible. No, seriously, healing is possible. So, this is about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. So, there you go. All you do is once you get to their website, go all the way to the far right-hand side and click on the section that says Find Help. To Write Love on Her Arms. Listen, all kinds of resources there. You might say, hey, this is not for me at the moment. Well, it could be that, but you can find all other kinds of stuff located right there on there at that same time. And maybe it's not something you use today. Maybe it's something you can definitely use in the future. TWLOHA.com. Keep that in mind. Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go. Let's continue talking about some other things that are happening inside of the world. Take a listen to this. After all the Twitter self-inflicted wounds over the last 9 months, Elon and whatever remaining employees that are at what is known as X now can console themselves with this. People still hate Facebook a little bit more. In a new survey released this week by the American Customer Satisfaction Index, Facebook ranks last in user satisfaction among social media platforms with a score of 66 out of 100. Twitter and Reddit tied for second place at 69, and YouTube ranked first with a score of 78. Pinterest and TikTok tied at 77. How long until we're allowed to start hating threads? I mean, I'm just asking the question to know, because that's going to be a subject of conversation for sure. And we're all aware of negative impacts of spending too long scrolling through your favorite social media site and after peeking into people's picture-perfect lives. But that doesn't make it any easier to quit the habit, however. However, according to a new study, even a small reduction in the amount of time that you spend on social media platforms can have a positive impact on your well-being. Researchers at Swaninza University found that cutting back on social media usage by 15 minutes a day has resulted in improved general health and immune functions, as well as reduced feelings of loneliness and depression, and less carpal tunnel too. So there you go. Some stuff to think about as we are talking. I mean, let's be realistic. How long do you spend on social media? And are you one of those people that last thing that you do at night is check your phone and the first thing in the morning that you do? Listen, I have read so many studies about how terrible and that stuff is for you and how you shouldn't be around anything that does blue light emissions before you go to bed and all that. I don't think that it has any kind of impact whatsoever on what I'm trying to accomplish. I don't know why I say that, but it's just one of those things. It's like, I know that this is not supposed to be great for you, but I continue to do it anyways. I know. I definitely have a lot of issues as we are talking. No doubt about that. Anyways, take a listen to this. Parts of South Florida are getting a much-needed reprieve on the intense heat by the way of a tropical wave. Temperatures in the region are averaging 10 to 20 degrees cooler, but don't get too excited.
It is likely once the clouds clear out and the rain clears that it's going to return to pretty hot conditions again.
Will Redmond from a National Weather Service meteorologist says the short-lived easterly tropical wave is producing a heavy cloud coverage and light to heavy downpours. A flood watch is now underway for Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade counties. Redmond says the advisory and warnings once again are to be expected after Friday. This is a dropping temps across the board between 10 to 20 degrees.
It's going to get warmer again, and we potentially might reach advisory levels once again, especially Miami-Dade. It's currently at 105. For heat index, and then everywhere else is at 108 for advisory level.
South Florida is getting a much reprieve into the intense heat by the wave of a tropical wave.
So this is an easterly wave, and it brings in a lot of moisture, and along with it, there can be some lift created with it and just create widespread showers and storms with it. Looks like through Friday is what we're anticipating right now, so today and tomorrow.
So there you go. If you're in South Florida, you might be happy based on that. Take a listen to this real quick. A penicillin shortage has health officials worried about a possible syphilis public health emergency. Mark Mayfield has more.
With supplies of the drug tight, doctors have been rationing treatment for the disease, prioritizing pregnant patients and babies. The Department of Health and Human Services is putting together a task force to examine the issue. Declaring a public health emergency could free up resources to help fight the problem. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, so let's do this real quick. Let's stay in Florida for just a moment. Florida Governor and Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis is defending Florida's embattled Black history standards for school.
You now have people like Kamala Harris trying to perpetuate a hoax saying that these African American history scholars, many of whom were Black, some of them who descended from slaves, are creating a curriculum saying it was good. Are you kidding me?
DeSantis says that Florida is teaching all the history, the good, bad, and the ugly, including injustice like slavery. He made those comments during a speech on Wednesday in Orlando before the American Legislative Exchange Council annual meeting. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says that schools should teach the basic and educate children, not indoctrinate them.
And so that's why we fought to do things like not have gender ideology in kindergarten, where they're telling students that they were born in the wrong body or that their gender is a choice. And we stood up to the left and the media and even big companies down the road here.
DeSantis is on the campaign trail in Florida Wednesday, speaking to the American Legislative Exchange Council annual meeting in Orlando. He had more.
We have in Florida shown the way on how to have a strong, robust economy. Our economy is now ranked #1 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report overall.
So there you go. Some very interesting stuff coming out of there. Take a listen to this real quick because I want to talk about this. Still staying in Florida for a moment. South Florida heat wave translating to the ocean temperatures off the coast and are on track to set global records. Florida International University hurricane research Eric Salna says that excessive heat plus El Nino in the Pacific are packing up 1-2 punch.
Seeing a connection here in the Atlantic Ocean with warmer sea surface temperatures. And now for the upcoming hurricane season, certainly warm sea surface temperatures are fuel for hurricanes.
Salna says that the only saving grace is El Nino usually means fewer storms during the season. The water temperatures on the tip of Florida hit the hot tub levels this week, exceeding 100 degrees 2 days in a row. Florida International University hurricane research Eric Salna says that El Nino usually means more wind shears than storm in the Caribbean.
We're hoping the turbulence or the wind shear in the Caribbean will help us in terms of making for fewer storms.
Salna says the hotter water temperatures fuel powerful hurricanes.
Certainly warm sea surface temperatures are fuel for hurricanes, but there's a tug of war going on. El Nino can lead to wind shear in the Caribbean.
So there you go. All kinds of interesting stuff as we are talking, no doubt about that. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring some John Smalls in just for him to tell us about what the hell's going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by RC. George Carlin said, "Most people work just hard enough to not get fired and get paid just enough money not to quit." Sadly, I've worked in that environment for much of my career. I've never worked at places where we were paid super well, but I've always loved what I've been blessed to do. I would say that I put in more than the bare minimum for sure, but I worked with some people who absolutely knew what the bare minimum was and lived up to that line and only that line on a regular basis. One guy knew exactly how many sick days we got, and he knew he could come in at a certain time every day and it only counted as a quarter day. See of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
More hits to help you work. Because to get rich, you gotta work hard.
Yeah, dude, like I just made so much money that I could just sit around on my ass all day and play video games.
Wait, I forgot about Dogecoin.
Dogecoin rules!
Radio it.
Listen to our host
Of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, yeah, talking about self-imploding and all that kind of fun stuff. No way to get away from that. That is for sure. As we are hanging out and talking about all this kind of fun stuff on this lovely Thursday. I hope it's Thursday. I keep on saying it's Thursday. Then all of a sudden I had that moment of doubt where I was like, is it Wednesday or is it Thursday? You see, it gets very interesting as we are talking. That is for sure. Anyway, so let's continue talking. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't talk about the health stuff. Let's do health stuff real quick.
President Biden is pushing insurers to improve access to mental health care for Americans.
Mental health care is health care. It's essential to people's well-being and their ability to lead a full and productive life.
The president announcing a proposed rule that would strengthen requirements so that health insurers would be required to cover behavioral health the same way they do physical health. Biden at the White House said there's no distinction between breaking your arm and having a mental breakdown. More than 30 drugs may face supply chain disruptions after a tornado damaged a North Carolina Pfizer plant. The company has sent out warning letters. The medications involved include injectable fentanyl for pain management and the anesthetic lidocaine. The affected plant in North Carolina is one of the largest facilities in the world for manufacturing sterile injectables. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Sarah Lee, for that information right there. Let's talk real quick about some things that happened back on this date, because it might be important. As I take a look around, let's see. Let's go to 2017. Jeff Bezos briefly becomes the world's richest man with $91.4 billion, taking over Bill Gates' spot. His time at the top only lasted about half a day, just so you know. That happened back in 2017. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's kind of go with them. Winnie Harlow turns 29. Jordan Spieth turns 30. Tony Lenz turns 31. Taylor Schilling, 39. Dolph Ziggler turns 43 today. Alex Rodriguez, 48. Maya Rudolph, 51. Triple H Paul Levesque turns 54. Julian McMahon turns Julian McMahon, but let's say that correctly. You know, the guy from Nip Tuck. Christian Troy, by the way, 55. Donnie Yen, 60. Bill Engel, 66. Peggy Fleming, 75. And Norman Lear turns 101 today. There you go. That's a birthday for sure, as you are taking a look. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have quite a few. Take your houseplant for a walk day. National Refreshment Day. National Scotch Day. National Chicken Finger Day. National Walk on Stilts Day. National Intern Day. Norfolk Day. And National Chili Dog Day. So there you go. You have some days to take a look at if you're so inclined to do so. So there you go. That's gonna sum it up. Anyways, before I forget, let's talk about this. This is still coming up the end of September. We are 2 months away right now as we speak. End of September. Todd Conklin hosting the Conklin Conference here in Orlando, Florida. You get the opportunity to hang out with Jen Long, Bob Edwards, Mark Yeston, Andrea Baker, Todd Conklin, of course, and I will be doing the hosting here in good Orlando. To find out more information, safetyfm.io. So there you go, safetyfm.io to find out some more information. So there you go, some stuff going on right there, as always, as we are speaking. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I'll be going over to radiobig.fm. RadioBig.fm is one of the options. You can go to Radio Big, as we will be hanging out over there doing the things that we have going on. If not, you can actually hang out with Sheldon Primus, as he is doing his stuff on this side of the equation. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you, of course. I was just told that getting harder and harder to underestimate me. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What product should a company would make a smart version of? What product should a company make a smart version of is really what it should say. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. A survey showed that the average parent does this 156 times a year. What is it? Eat a meal standing. So there you go. So anyways, thank you for hanging out and doing the things that you do. You are the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big. If I can't leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. Never play with the feelings of others. You may win the game, but you'll surely lose the person forever. There you go. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.